Welcome back to another episode of Utility Room Legends, the podcast where we shine a light on the people who move and control water and honor the legends behind the systems we often take for granted. If this is your first time listening, you can check out our past episodes and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We also invite you to visit our website at utilityroomlegends.com for all the latest updates, links, and guest submissions. Today's guest is someone who's been a pillar of Rep Masters and the industry for decades. Ron Hatt is the Regional Sales Manager at Rep Masters, Inc., covering the states of Utah, Idaho, and Montana. Having been at Rep Masters for over 22 years, Ron isn't just a longtime teammate. He's the kind of guy whose name gets mentioned in job site conversations, distributor meetings, phone calls, and industry events all over the region. He's earned a reputation as someone who shows up, gets it done, and who never loses sight of the people behind the products and purchase orders. In this episode, we talk about how Ron found his way into the industry, from humble beginnings to becoming a trusted go-to for reps, contractors, and suppliers alike. We also discuss the evolution of the industry over the years, what's changed and what hasn't, the value of consistency, humility, and real customer service in a business that relies on relationships as much as it does on specifications. We also talk about how legacy isn't always about titles. It's about the small, steady, everyday things that build trust and leave an impression. You'll hear some laughs, a few golden one-liners, and most importantly, the voice of someone who has quietly built a reputation by doing things the right way, day in and day out. Ron may not seek the spotlight, but his impact is exactly the kind of story we aim to tell here on Utility Room Legends. Let's get into it. Mr. Hatt.
Mr.
How are you doing?
Davis.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. Glad to have you on. Cheers.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, why don't we go ahead and start out with you, giving us an introduction of who you are, what it is you do.
Okay. Ron Hatt with Rep Masters.
Yep. How long you been with Rep Masters?
23 years. Started in 2003.
Okay. What were you doing then?
I actually was working for Toro. I was a Toro rep back in the day for the irrigation side of things. Not the lawnmowers, but the sprinklers. So.
Yeah.
But, just been here for 20 years. Prior to that, I was with Turf Equipment and Irrigation, which is the Toro rep in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was with a company called the Pipe Connection. So it was a independent distributor, just sold sprinkler parts, everything else. So managed that for like 7 years.
Okay.
Then I was with Turf Equipment for 14 years.
All out of Salt Lake then?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's where you're born in Salt Lake?
Yeah. I lived in South Jordan pretty much my whole life. So then moved from there, went to big town of Riverton now. So
yeah, it's growing fast out there.
yeah, way too fast.
Yeah, for sure. So you were born in Utah. How'd you get into
Sprinklers?
Yeah, sprinklers and pipe and
just as a young kid, I started working for the neighbor guy. Back then, it was really hard to find a job. There just wasn't that many places to get employed back in the day. Kennecott was the big one. If you could get hired on a Kennecott driving truck or something like that. But we didn't have a lot of the McDonald's, any of that kind of stuff around back in the day for a young kid to get a job. So
how old were you then?
When I was 18, trying to find a job, yeah. I worked for a company called Irico Chemicals to start out. So it was a company that made explosives. And
for mining, is that?
Yep.
A lot of mining up there?
Yeah. And worked there for probably close to 2 years and then got laid off there and started looking for a job. And neighbor guy in town, he was building a subdivision across from us, and that didn't happen too often back then. Somebody was building a house around you, and I just went over and was talking to him and asked him if he needed any help, and so I started helping him, plumbing, doing flooring, everything else, radiant heat in his house and everything else. And then he was a sprinkler contractor, but he was building the house during the winter while he was off. So as soon as summertime rolled around, I just went to work for him. He ended up hurting his back, and then they called him to work for the pipe connection.
Okay.
So he brought me along over there, and that's where I got my start, and still in it now.
You started out doing warehouse stuff or selling? Or?
I was mainly on the counter at that time,
Okay.
but, we did everything at that time. Deliveries, we'd stock shelves, everything. It was just a small shop in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
But I was very grateful for him. He brought me along and taught me a lot of stuff, and I worked for him for 7 years and then went to the Toro distributor for them guys and started out there on the counter as well. And
Now, did you have any plans to go to college, or you're not
No.
sure what you were doing? Just
yeah,
18, get a job, get started?
yep,
Were you doing hunting, a lot of hunting then too?
yeah. I always did the hunting thing when I don't know, I kind of a weird kid when I grew up. I wore out 30 BB guns and everything else. So, but yeah, then moving on, it was just kind of interesting. I was working for Toro, and
So you're in your mid-20s working for Toro, is that about right?
yep. And got a phone call one day, and guy on the phone says, "Hey," he says, "My name's Brent Richards. I have a company called Rep Masters. Would been around in town and talking to people, and they said that you would be a noteworthy person to hire. So I just wonder if you're looking for a job." And I said, I'm not really looking for a job, but I'm not going to pass up an opportunity.
I'm looking for one when I found this one.
Yeah. So anyway, he told me meet me at the Hilton out by the Salt Lake City Airport, and I went over there, and of course I was on time, and I'm looking around, couldn't find anybody in there, and I'm just like, well, I don't know where this is going, but then a kid walked up to me and he said, "Are you Ron Hatt?" And I'm like, "Are you Brent Richards?" And he said, "Yep." And so we just talked for half an hour, and
Yeah.
he gave me a proposal, and within 2 weeks I was working for him.
And he was coming in out of Denver, right?
Yeah,
So
yep, yeah, because he lived in Salt Lake.
that would have
prior.
been, see, that would have been what, 1990 then? Is that right? 20?
Well, no, it's 2003 when I started for
Oh,
him.
2003.
Yeah. So, but, yeah, so 2003,
And you're working for, at this time, you're working for Sprinkler World or?
turf
Oh,
equipment.
Turf Equipment.
Yeah, I was the Toro rep, so I was actually doing all the Toro
Okay.
meetings with all the Toro guys and everything else.
You never met Brent before?
Nope.
So someone just kind of,
Yeah.
hey, talk to this guy.
Once I got hired on, then Brent's dad, Larry, he had a rep agency, and then I met Larry, and then I remember seeing Larry back in the day
Okay.
coming into the pipe connection and that, trying to sell his pipe and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So,
That was back when he had, the Larry Richards and Associates.
yeah,
and so
yeah,
On the road, babe.
yeah. But no, I mean it's been great. I feel blessed to be working for Rep
Yeah.
Masters. I mean, several years. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think I actually started with Brent, and I can't remember if it's 2003 or 2004.
It might have been 2003 because I think I remember when I started, you hit your, was it your 15-year anniversary? Or is it?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yep. When
Yeah.
you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 10-year. It would have been 10-year anniversary if you would have started in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I started in 2013. So this is year 13 for me. So yeah, time flies.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I don't know. I look back and it's interesting just the way that things are happening now compared to what it was like back then.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest difference in? I mean, you came from. I mean, your background's primarily irrigation, right?
Yeah, sprinklers, yep.
And that was something that was new to me. When I started, I had to kind of find a niche, and waterworks is something that I just kind of. There was a kind of where the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
Where we needed some help, and so that's kind of how I fell into the waterworks side. But what's the biggest difference that you see from? I guess maybe even the way that business is done.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I was an irrigation guy, and back in the day, we had quite a few irrigation lines. And right now, we don't have a ton of irrigation lines. We have good lines, but we just don't have a bunch. But, when I came on board, it was just kind of different back then than what it is like now. I mean, I remember coming on board, and Lena was the only one that's still here, was here back then. And
Mike wasn't even here right?
No. But I just remember getting sales reports and saying, look through the sales reports, find out who your customers are, and go see them.
see 'em.
So, I mean, it just, And now it's totally different, you know. I mean, with Braylon helping me out over there in Utah and Trevor up in Montana and you guys over here, I mean, it's a whole different ball game now,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I mean, when I look at it, I mean, getting Braylon on board, I mean, he's got it easy compared to what I had.
Yeah. That's what I always say.
Yeah, just because, I mean, there was no knowledge. I mean, I had to just go knock on doors and figure out who they are, you know. Braylon now, I mean, he can tag along with me, and we already know who all of our customers are.
Yeah.
So, but just an interesting concept, and it's been a fun ride, that's for sure, to see where it was and where it is now, you know.
Yeah, and maybe it's like the get off my lawn guy type attitude,
Yeah.
but like with the younger guys that start, I always feel like, you know, everyone's like, we got to get these guys trained up, and what are we doing to train these guys? And I'm like, man, I remember when I sat in there, my first day was like, what do I do? Everyone's busy, everyone's out.
Yeah.
You just start picking up the you know, go to the lit room and start grabbing binders and reading, and then going to Google.
Yep. Yeah, back then we had binders. I mean, that was a full-time job, is just to keep the binders updated.
Yeah.
And, you know, you go in there and half the time, you know, I just tell them I got, you know, new literature to put in their binders.
Yeah.
Well, they're over there, and you'd sit there for a half an hour and go through the binder and take out the old, put in the new, and then once you was done, you know, you'd go through it with the manager or the purchasing agent. You know, here's everything that's new, and it's funny. Some of them, where's the old books? I need the old books. Okay, you know, because they had multipliers in them and everything else. So, but
Yeah, I've heard stories about, it's funny when I started, you know, when Brent was out making sales calls, because he would work in the warehouse and then go out and make sales calls. You know, he was meticulous about making sure everyone had their updated books. And I heard stories about him just walking back, you know, make his calls, say hi to everyone. Then he would just make the rounds and go out and swap out and update their books. And the guys were like, what's going on?
yeah. It's funny, too, because I had a big tote in the back of my truck that I'd just pull out, and I had it individually, so I could just rip through books. But there was times when I would go buy all brand new binders and have them pre-done.
Yeah.
And there was nights when I would go out and see customers all day long and come back, and I would gather their books because I gave them new books. And then when I'd come back at night, I would set them out on the bed and just go through and make all new binders again to keep passing them out, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of manual work back then compared to everything's on the computer nowadays.
Yeah, and I think the speed of business has changed a lot.
Yeah.
You know, when I started, it was just the call pattern on the road, and then you know, every other week you're making this loop. Every 3 months you're making this loop. Once every 6 months. I remember you and I would split Montana.
Yep.
I remember that first drive from Denver to Bozeman was like, I think it was 12 or 14 hours, 12 hours or something like that, 12 and a half. And you just go there on like, I would leave, you know, Sunday night or, you know, and then, or first thing Monday morning, you're driving all the way and getting there Monday night.
Yep.
And then you're working when you back and you get home on Friday.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting, too, is back then we didn't have GPS, you know, so I'd pull into the first gas station in town and ask them if they have a map, and they'd always have a little tear-off sheet. And I'd have to sit down and mark X's where everybody was at on there. And it was funny because you'd go over here and see these guys, and you'd look up the address, and you'd go over here, then the next one you come back, and you're like 1 block away, and it's like, you know, then you got to figure out how to put them all in order so you wasn't wasting time driving around.
That's where the computers have helped out quite a bit in GPS.
Yep.
Yeah, because we would. Yeah, I mean, I didn't start. You know, I had GPS, but it wasn't always reliable on my phone. Even it would go blank on you when you're up in Wyoming.
Yeah.
So, you know, what I'd do is plan out the map. You'd spend a day in the office, putting your calls in. You know, going point A to point B, putting in like Google Map, and then you'd print everything off. And you had it there just in case you weren't getting service.
Yep. Yeah, by then, I mean, once the GPS has come out, unless it was a new customer, I mean, I had it down to a science at that point. You know, I mean, I bought a GPS for hunting, you know, and when I started going out into Montana and that, I would just lock them into my GPS on my hunting thing, so I'd take that with me so I knew where to go, you know. It's just crazy.
Where's your favorite place to go? You know, what was your favorite sales loop?
I don't know. I mean, I really liked Montana just because it was pretty. And with me liking to hunt and stuff, you know, I mean, there was always opportunities to look. You know, you got rivers, you got deer, you got antelope, coyotes, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, even still to this day, I enjoy, all my territories. But, Idaho, it's there again. I mean, it's just interesting, just the customers that you get to. I mean, I call them customers, but to me, they're my friends.
Yeah.
So,
That's the best part of the business.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's just funny because I had a customer up in Idaho, and we was trying really hard to get him to switch over to plastic trends. And every time I'd go in there, and I'm like, "Hey, you ready to make a switch?" And he's like, "It's fittings." He goes, I "Don't even waste my time talking to me about fittings." And it's just, it was so important for me.
Well, if you don't care that much,
Yeah,
then we'll
just
switch
it
over.
Yeah. But, and, once you get older and stuff and you think back and you're like, it would be a pain to change, from this to that. And I mean, if the benefits are there and you're making an extra 2 or 3%, is it really worth it? You you got to look at it on the customer end, and we're begging for it. We just want to have that on paper showing that, hey, we got them.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's the hardest when you get to that point in sales, when you understand putting yourself in the customer's shoes. I mean, that's where you can have common ground and where you can relate, and you understand that your job's to make it easy and painless, and there's got to be value there. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what over time, has kind of gotten out, especially now that we're in where we don't have as much face-to-face contact, just because after COVID, less people in the office, a lot of people working remote. If you're setting up times to meet people, a lot of times before you could just plan on making a call to someone at a distributor. Hey, I'm going to be there on Thursday. Just want to give you guys a heads up. Is there anything that you guys got going on that's not going to work, especially if you're going up somewhere rural? Now you gotta make sure, because you get up there and half the people may be working remote or they're out. So without having that face to face, you really got to provide value.
Yeah.
And it's whether it's the, finding out what the pains are, or whatever they're dealing with. Because even if it's a line like Plastic Trends, somebody's dealing with something that's frustrating them about whoever they're currently buying from. It's always that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because, you've got LinkedIn, you got Facebook, and, I mean, anytime I see any of my customers, I always, friend them or whatever, because it's just interesting. I mean, you learn so much more about customers or friends, whatever, on Facebook just from what they do, and you start liking it. And then,
absolutely.
They look at it and, hey, Ron Hatt likes it, Well, then you go in town and you meet up with them. And then you got some things to talk about because you know what they've been doing in their life,
Yeah.
So, and that's hard to get if you don't know them on a personal level,
Yeah. Well, any customer that I know that knows you, or they'll call in or I'll tell them they'll be looking for something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to copy Ron on this. He's your guy. Oh, Ron Hatt. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys, they all love you.
Yep.
I mean, you can't you're never going to find every 100% of the people that like you, right? I mean, that's the thing in sales. It's the bell curve.
I don't think anybody hates me, right?
I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure. Put it in the comments.
Yeah, it's just funny. I mean, there's been a couple people, just through the years.
Oh, sure.
And the ones that would kill me was when I first started on, I'd go and talk to them, and I'd want them to talk to me, and next thing you know, Lena's called me, and they've called Lena, and I'm like, why are you calling Lena? But
everyone's called Lena.
So, but no, it's neat to see where we're at this point in time too. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, times are changing, and I don't know. I mean, I'm still looking forward to retirement, but I'm not. I mean, I've thought about it, but it's just like, I don't know. I enjoy working for Rep Master, so why would I quit?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you got to work with your friends.
Yeah.
And it's not only coworkers, which, I sat and looked, and I got a handful of people outside of the industry. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys in my Marine Corps unit, obviously, and the Marines that I served with, and then a couple other people that I've kept in contact with. But other than that, everyone that I'm close with is
work related.
In the industry. That's fun. I mean, whether it's a manufacturer, the reps that come out and travel with us. I talked to Ryan McKinnon the other day, and he was like, "Remember when we get in your truck and drive all the way out to Grand Junction?" And he was like, "That was fun. We got to do that again." Now he's times kind of change, and you move into other positions, and yeah, I kind of missed some of that.
Yeah.
I remember my first trip was with Matt. So, yeah, Matt took me on my very first sales call. I think I was like 4 weeks into it.
Yeah.
In January, we went up to, it was the end of January. We went over to Grand Junction, stopped in Glenwood, and then made calls there. I think we went to Montrose. I think it was like 3 days.
Yeah.
And that was my first intro into the sales loop call.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Ryan came out to Utah, and I had a bear tag, and so I would take off after work, and I'd go up and bait the bear bait site. And all it is, you hike up in the mountains, and find a spot, throw out some food for the bears. But I asked Ryan, I said, "Do you want to go with?" He's like, "Heck yeah!" He's in good shape. You know, and it was just cool that he wanted to go with me, and we took off and went up in the mountains, and it's like a 2-mile hike going back in there. And there was a couple times, and he's like, "We need to hold on. I'm tired," and he's out of breath and stuff. But it was cool that he wanted to go up there and do
some
that,
shooting.
And so, it was a good trip. And
Did you pop off a few rounds?
no, we didn't take any.
No.
I carried a sidearm, but that was it. But we was just up there baiting, so we wasn't actually hunting, just baiting. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good time. And I mean,
I still remember the Mike Ford story with was it Jim Porteous?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, what was that in Montana? You got to tell that story. I mean, that one's for
Oh, it was just funny because Jim's not a hunter at all, and,
Right.
And we'd just be driving down the road, and I'm like, "Hey, there's some antelope." He'd look over there, and he's like, "How'd you see them?" I'm like, "How could you not?" So he goes, "Well, I'm gonna find the next ones." So I'm driving. Pretty soon, I'm just pointing. I'm like, "There's some right there," and he's like, "God, how do you see them?" And I mean, he wanted to shoot a gun too because he's never shot a gun, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, and we pull over, and I'm just gonna let him try and shoot the gun, and some guy pulls over next to us, and I'm like, "What's this guy doing?" So we never ever did get to shoot a gun with Jim, but just a good trip, and Jim
Is that
was,
up in Montana?
yeah. But it was funny. I mean, he was a waterworks guy, but when we made our trips, we see everybody,
Yeah.
because you can't just go see the waterworks guy.
Right.
So, but we'd stop in at an irrigation company, and he'd just sit in the truck, and he's like, "Man, how many more of these irrigation guys we got?" Hold tight, Jim, But,
Well, waterworks, yeah, it's small diameter, it's cutthroat, it's real,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's always kind of the perception.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I've never even thought about looking this up, but it'd be interesting to know how many trips you took with different manufacturers, on the road.
yeah.
So had some good trips with old Jim Valls from Fertile Earth when we had that line back in the day.
Okay.
And,
I'm not familiar with that line.
Yeah. It was just a fertilizer injector for your
Okay.
sprinkler systems, and old Thurl Bailey from the Utah Jazz was one of the founders of
Okay.
it. So it's just kind of interesting going over to the office and running into Thurl
And you're
Bailey.
a big jazz fan, so.
Yeah, I mean, we watch the Jazz. I wouldn't call me a big Jazz fan.
I grew up a jazz fan.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of I didn't like, being a military family and being all over.
Yeah.
My only thing when I was home was where I was born, which was in Provo. So, and then I did live there when my dad was getting his master's degree. So Utah was kind of the place I would say is where I'm from, because my family's from Southern California. But we moved to Boston, back to California, Utah, before we got to Colorado. So it was that's kind of where I was considered home. So I didn't like the Broncos. Nuggets were okay. My dad took me to the Nuggets game, but I was a big Jazz fan.
Yeah.
I loved Karl Malone, Ty Corbin, John Stockton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that was the good old days.
man, those were some great NBA Finals games.
Yeah.
Against the Rockets and
Yep.
yep.
Yep. Yeah. The Michael Jordan days,
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps when the Bulls did the three-peat.
huh?
So
Yeah.
I watched that from Texas, but yeah, I was
Yeah.
bummed out. I thought, here we go, finally, come on, man. That's still a
Yeah.
push-off. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
That's a push-off.
Yeah. Yep. But no, just business-wise, I mean, I don't know. It's been a great ride, is all I can say.
I guess what would you say, because you started out in irrigation, And then obviously as we grew, you had to get into plumbing
Plumbing and
and
water.
water. I mean, what was the I guess it was the biggest challenge for you in moving into those? Because when we, like, even in this podcast, right, I want to talk to everyone, whether it's irrigation, plumbing, industrial, anything that moves water.
Yeah.
But what was the biggest challenge for you in learning?
I think just, I mean, me coming from the sprinkler side, I thought I knew a lot about pipe fittings, all that kind of stuff. I thought, no big deal. But, there's so many different size pipes in that. And once you got up to large diameter, I mean, I had guys playing with me, I need a price on some 22 inch, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're like, so at first you don't even really know what's out there, and then DRs, all your DR ratings, all that kind of fun stuff. So, but that came along pretty easy. But I would say right now, I still have love for the irrigation side, of course.
Yeah.
But I think I like the waterworks the best.
Yeah.
Plumbing still, it's still out there, but there's so much on the plumbing side, faucets, all this and that, brass, galvanized, plastic and everything else. But waterworks is probably my go-to right now, I would say. I enjoy it the most. It's just kind of interesting, too. I think on the waterworks side, I kind of like the people on the waterworks side more than the irrigation side. It just seems like it's more cutthroat. But if I dug on to the contractor side of it, back then I knew the contractors really, really well. And it just seemed like it was cutthroat, or these guys didn't like them guys, and so on and so forth. But in the waterworks, it seems like everybody's
I think
pretty good together.
Yeah, there's enough business out there. Well, plus most people find themselves, working, with the other company, or there's a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Even on the contractor side.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just, you take a big order in the irrigation side, and you get $100,000 order for some pipe on irrigation. That's huge,
Yeah.
And geez, I think my biggest waterworks PO was like 1.9 million, and I'm like, wow, one job, So, and it's, once you get into the dollars, when you're looking at that, I think that's what really makes you excited and makes you feel good, is you got a PO for $1.9 million, but I don't know, it's a crazy world out there too. And I mean, just the changes that you go through from manufacturer to manufacturer, you've got them now, you don't have them now, and there's somebody new. And so, I mean, it's a changing world. And
that's definitely the challenge of the rep model.
Yeah.
And that's hard too, because you get invested with a company as a partner, right?
Yep.
And then you grow, and sometimes that's kind of like the plan is, hey, you kind of understand, you can see the writing on the wall that you're there to help them get up off the ground.
Yeah.
And then they may or may not choose that model later on. It happens, but usually you run across those people. Biggest thing that I've learned in this industry is to never burn bridges.
Yep.
Because you just never know.
Yeah.
And I think it's something I've seen, with Brent, where people will, hey, it's just business. This is the direction we're going. And then maybe that person leaves and they go to another company, and they're reaching out because you helped them out when they were with, the first manufacturer.
The thing that I see with you is you get more involved with other rep agencies a lot more. Jim Jolly and all them guys, when we go back and see them, I mean, I recognize them. I say hi, and, we know each other, but we don't talk, and I know you talk to a lot of the different rep agencies and stuff. So
I do, because for me, well, I mean, it's, again, relationship, but I can't tell you how many times Jim's helped me out with solving a problem.
Yeah.
Those guys are valuable. It's just like Brent, and the knowledge. If I'm calling Brent, and I'll call Brent if there's something I'm stumped on.
Yeah.
I'll call Jim, and I know Jim has years, 30, 40, and it's I think his dad did it too. So, and same with Brad Greer. Russell will call me up, and ask me if I've heard of this or if I've seen that, and that's really that's the only way you can solve some of those problems. And I do it also with, some of the guys, the customers that I have, like whether it's Shelby at Ferguson, Shelby Keaton, or John Roberts at Corn, Maine. I'll just call them and say, hey, I'm sitting here. They're got a contractor that's trying to get off the job. They're doing a pressure test. This is what's going on. Here's what I'm seeing. What do you think? I mean, have you seen this before?
Yeah.
That's really,
Yep.
That's important. And also I just love the relationship side of it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fun, yeah.
Yep. No, and I mean it's funny. I mean we talk about lines that come and go. I remember we was I got the 2006 I think salesman of the year for NDS, and in 2007 we didn't have the line. So it's just and I was panicked. I'm like, what are we gonna do? And it's just funny. But Brent's just like, hey, stuff happens. Just move along. So you just I mean, we've lost some lines that we didn't want to lose, but I mean, it just like Brent says, it's in somebody else's hands. So we just gotta pick up and move the pieces to another puzzle. And so you just can't let it bother you. You know, and I don't know. I mean, I'm one of the guys that I'm pretty low keyed, and so I mean, I've just learned it from Brent. Don't take it personally, and it is what
Qualpaw
it
was
is,
tough for you, right?
Yeah, it was, but I mean, I don't know. That one was interesting. I mean, coming along, and because I was in the forefront of that, because Brigham was looking. He's like, "Hey, what do you think? Should I take this job?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'd take the job." And you're going to need a good rep agency. And he's like, "I didn't even think of that." And I'm like, and so it worked out great. I mean, we ran with it for a whole year, and I mean, we grew that to $1 million company. And then boom, all of a sudden, things just changed. And I don't know. I've talked to the owners and that, and I just think that
It's just business.
If I mean, that's all it is. It's what they chose, and that's final. But I wish we could have talked a little bit before to see if we could have made something happen.
Yeah, it's always hard. It's interesting when you see people get invested. That's what's harder than rep.
Yeah.
I think Matt took Midland pretty hard. Things like that. And, going back in the past, I mean, I've had that happen, and it's just a.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I tried to do is realize that those relationships, because we've had lines that had, they decided to go a different direction, and the guy that made the phone call to tell me, 3 months later is doing something else in the industry, and then you see him at a show, and hey man, there's no, it's just business. No one's there to intentionally screw someone over. It's just that's the decision they're making, and you got to live with it. The best thing that I see is you stay consistent. My message has been I had to kind of find what I thought really drives me no matter what, even if it's to make it to where it's not a manufacturer specific, but just the improvement, the betterment of the industry overall.
Yeah.
And if that's what your focus is, then there's always going to be value there for somebody.
Yep.
And whether it's a basic isolation valve or a flow control valve or pipe or actuation, whatever it is, if that's what you're trying to do, then there's going to be a need.
Yeah. Yep. No, I got to hand it. I mean, it's totally changed now compared to what it used to be. I mean, bids, all that kind of stuff, I did it all myself and that. And then as we gradually went along now, I mean, we've got all the inside people. So, I mean, I rely on Newman a lot. And Newman's just like my brother, I mean, it's just neat.
Newman's the best.
Yeah. I mean, but right now I'm not afraid to talk to Hope, Shelby, Andrew, any of them guys. I mean, I just got to get it in my mindset that when I call and somebody answers the phone, they can help me.
Yeah.
But I've always had that tendency to want to go to Newman,
Yeah.
But
I got to get Newman on here. He'll be on here soon.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, it's been good for my family to be a part of Rep Masters, and that's another thing that's been great is, Brent's always been good about, having the families all part of the Rep Masters.
It's always family first.
Yeah.
So, well, and then what do you think? I mean, what do you see as you've watched what's kind of transpired over the last 20 years? How the industry, we talked about how the industry changed, the speed of communication. What do you see moving forward? I mean, I remember maybe 8 years ago, I remember the big thing was, Amazon's getting into the supply chain. And really, you think about it, there's a lot of that now.
Oh, yeah.
And there have, but at the end of the day, it's still about, people. But when you look at moving forward, and then we look at what, our business has definitely had, not, I wouldn't say a shift, but it's just, hey, let's look at how some of the new stuff like AI can help us do our jobs better, provide more value. What do you see moving forward? What do you think's going to happen?
I don't have a crystal ball, so I mean it's just interesting to see all the changes that do take place. But I mean, I come from an era when the cell phones just barely started, and to what we have now. I mean, you very seldom call an office. It seems like anymore. You're calling their cell phones, So AI is totally whacked for me. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what to expect. I like it. I mean, you can ask your phone nowadays anything, and it comes back with a pretty good answer. But do you believe it? Is this true or whatever? There's some pretty weird stuff with AI going on. With do you even know if it's real? Is this a real picture or because you can do stuff nowadays and insert you into you could be a bull rider.
Well, I mean that's the. I mean, I remember looking back to when people were talking about the internet the same way people are talking about AI now, and and it's true. I mean, the biggest thing is access of information, and then having to disseminate. Before you grew up in a time, and I grew up as a kid learning the Dewey Decimal System, right?
Yeah.
My kid had no concept of that. Like if you wanted to, there was no Hey Google.
Yeah.
Who was blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
You went on a little computer pad, and then or you had to look it up on the card, and then it give you the decimal system, and you had to go to that part, and they had to go into a book and actually pull it up. And there was no Control F and find the person.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it was time. So now it's the speed and access of information.
Yep.
And there's positives and negatives. I mean, anything that's powerful, anything that has the ability to be a huge positive also possesses the same ability to be a huge negative. Mm-hmm. And just like with internet.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of think, definitely, there's some things that are valid in people being concerned about AI, but in general, I think you're going to see. I mean, if you're even looking right now, what you can do in our industry, in our job, with finding products or verifying if something's compatible with something.
Yeah.
And to your point, you do need to. You can easily go in because if you ask it to cite it, you can go in and like the old Reagan, trust but verify.
Yeah.
You can go in and look and see where they're pulling it from. And I have seen times where it's like that's not really quite what it was saying, but. For the most part, I mean, it can be a huge tool for what we're doing and for helping,
just knowledge, know. I mean, before where you'd have to get up there and search, I mean, DR ratings and everything else. You'd read a book that was, an inch thick to
now you just
go
ask
over that. Yeah.
What does DR rating on pipe mean? And boom.
Yeah.
Would you like me to expand on that? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at the training that you could get, look where travel's going nowadays too. I mean, you just never know. I mean, all these cars now that are coming out that can be driving by themselves and everything else. I mean, we was driving over here and Traver's driving and the truck didn't want to make the lane change, because he didn't use his signal.
Yeah.
And I look at air travel now as you'd think it'd be getting way good, but it seems like air travel now sucks big time. I mean, I used to not worry about flying on an airplane, but nowadays it seems like there's delays and this, and it's like, geez, am I going to get there on time, and everything else. So now they have drones. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it here in 10 years we'll all have our own personal drone to fly us around, I don't know, So
I saw something where Elon's supposedly going to be, introducing something before the end of the year and it's kind of hinted towards
personal drones.
An vehicle that can fly. So I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? I mean, it's crazy times, dude.
George Jetson times,
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, with the kids growing up nowadays too, you look at your son Ty's here, and hopefully he can make the rep master journey too. And I mean, a lot of our guys started out in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Matt did. So
I had to. That was kind of a requirement for me when I started, even coming from the car business. As a manager, because I had to spend X amount of time in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I remember doing that at the time. The warehouse manager was like, it was David. He's like, dude, you don't have to work that hard. I'm like, I just want to come back here and get this done. And
Yeah.
But that's, that's when you start noticing part numbers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's when I learned 1056 was for Fernco.
Yeah.
Right, you actually get to see it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how things stay with you. I mean, I can still tell you what every PVC fitting is, the part numbers, I mean, whether it's a T, a 90, or a reducing, bushing, whatever. So it's once you learn it, it sticks with you, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, just like I said, I mean, I got to thank mentors, Mike Bruni, he's taught me a lot on the backflow side, I mean, and,
have you heard Mike's stories about the old payphone banks when he talks about going to?
Yeah,
that's what kills me.
Yeah,
is the trade shows.
I remember the days when your pager used to go off and you had to go find a payphone to call in and, hey, what do you need?
Yeah, Mike was talking about how a lot of the trade shows that you go to, whether it's rural water for, Wyoming or Montana or whatever it was, you get orders. You went to get orders.
Yeah.
And so you'd leave and there'd be like a line of people at the bank at the payphone.
Yeah.
And they got orders taken down. All right, I need you to write this down and fax and send it in.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some good stories too about some of the shenanigans that would go on for getting orders.
Yeah.
Like, I'd really, man. Taking a client out to lunch and then being like, man, look at that TV. I'd really love that TV in my house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, just some of the people, throughout the years. I mean, Scott Andriano, I had a good time with Scott. I mean,
I love Scott.
I thought he would stick it out and, he's back to him working for a distributor,
Trying to get him on here too, but he's too busy, man.
Yeah.
Those plant guys, dude, they're busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you look at, like the treatment plant guys, any of the, like the data centers, all that stuff. I mean, it's insane when you look at the infrastructure that's needed to actually, most people don't think about that. When you think about AI and then all these supercomputer centers, the data centers, I mean, they require a lot of energy.
That's what's interesting.
A lot of water.
Just like that information you sent out the other day. I mean, it's, here you have, a whole city that's worried about watering your lawn, and you guys are on odd and even, you're on odd days, you're on even days, and we better not catch you doing it. And then next thing you know, there's a data center that's using 5.6 million gallons of their water. It's like, what? I mean, where's this come from?
The sky. But that's the reality is most people just think it's just there.
Yeah.
The water's just there.
Yep. But I don't know. I really think that we're going to get to a crunch time where water's going to be way,
100%.
way valuable.
It is, yeah, and that's where AI and some of the predictive analytics will help solve those problems. Because right now it's a numbers game. You can only do so much. You only have certain. There's a capacity issue.
Yeah.
With personnel.
Yep.
People and power are the two most expensive components of a water system. Power to pump it and people to manage it.
Yeah.
And and then we have aging infrastructure. So if we're not going to replace the aging infrastructure at the same rate, we have to figure out how to be selective and replace the right stuff because we're putting funds and money into that.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody at it was at one of the last Action Now Rural Water training sessions that we did, and they were talking about how they go and they provide proposals for replacing areas that are needed, and the board is not interested because they still have water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I still have water.
Yeah. But they don't know how much water they're losing.
Well, how much they're losing, and then at what point you still have water now, but what if you don't tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like how long before you're flipping out, and then how much is that going to cost?
Yep.
So, this when you look at like what Mueller's doing with
the pipe studies,
ePulse, it's huge.
Yeah.
Being able to identify and pinpoint
bad pipe. Yeah.
Pipe for replacement, because before then, you would walk into a utility, and you've probably seen it. And you go to Montana and Idaho, you walk into a utility district. They got a guy who's in charge of everything, and they got 2 or 3 other guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes in Wyoming, they got one guy and volunteer guys.
Yeah.
And the guys are like volunteer firefighters and water operators.
Yep.
And they'll have a map of their system on the wall.
Yeah.
And they got little pins.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
they got all the pipe mapped out. And they got little pins. And the
That's where
pins,
it's broke.
yeah, and the pins have, they got red pins, yellow pins, white pins. And you ask, I remember asking, oh, what's the difference color in the pins? Different types of brakes,
Yep.
right? Different issues they had. So that's what they're using to determine when they have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then you ask them, have you ever repaired a section and then had a section right next to it break? All the time.
Yeah.
So what's causing that? There's a root problem there, right? That's where AI can really help.
Yeah.
Because if you can be proactive and not so much reactive, then it frees up funds, dollars that typically are wasted. And I think that's my biggest frustration is that in the past for years, it was kind of like the joke of like, if you had a flow control valve that, most control valves are oversized. Mm-hmm. And you'd have guys go, I want 12-inch pipe and they want a 12-inch valve, I'll sell them a 12-inch valve. And in my mind, I'm going, no, but the difference between a 12-inch valve and a properly sized valve is huge when you start getting that size and cost. And if you do that over time, then you're just taking capital away from what could be used to actually help improve the infrastructure. And that was always frustrating to me.
Yeah.
I still find that frustrating.
Well, that's why I think you see when you're driving down the road and they're putting in some new pipe. I mean, prior to that, well, we're going to build a subdivision. Well, that subdivision can take X amount of gallons, so we need to run 8-inch pipe out there. Well, what happens when they open the next subdivision down the road now? Well, we should have put 12-inch
Well,
pipe.
now you're new zone.
Yeah. So, it's an ever-growing business for a city. I mean, people just don't understand. Just like you said, I turn on the tap, and there's water. They don't know.
They don't know what goes into it, and how. I mean, and again, like those guys, their time is, and then how much they're stacked with regulatory and compliance issues on top of everything else they have to do in their job.
Yeah.
And then it's like I was over. I had to run out the other day with Aurora Water. Like, got a phone call from their guy there that is in charge of all their PRBs. And called and asked if I could help out. This is the day before Thanksgiving because they've been out there. And so I agreed to go out on Monday, first thing we get back. And those guys have been doing it for like 3 days trying to get this PRB dialed in. And that's just, again, that's time.
Yep. Yeah.
And those guys are taken just to do something that, it seems mundane. But you got 4 guys out. And then again, you got 1 guy in a hole and 5 guys watching. So.
Yep. But on the same token, do you want that ACV working or not? You know what the bad thing is when it doesn't work correctly, you could be blowing pipe right out of the ground.
That's probably, in my opinion, that's probably the issues with control valves are probably based on what I've seen, they're probably the number one problem. Well, I mean, you have leaking pipe joints, but even then, when you have breaks, you have catastrophic breaks. It's going to be associated with a control valve.
Yep.
So
yeah,
and then when you hear, cities like Denver and Aurora and Salt Lake City do a great job of maintaining and putting proactive approaches in. But a lot of these guys, I talked to some of these rural areas where I'm like, when was the last time you guys went in the vault? Be honest, or when it was installed.
Yeah.
Or we never did. The contractor put it in. How long ago was that? 15 years.
Yeah.
A lot of problems.
Yep.
And when they fail wide open.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, when you got your water shut off at your house for, a day, and you're like, oh man, when are they going to get this fixed? Well, could you imagine if it didn't work and it went on for time and time and time, So, and you're just one ACV away from a major problem, So.
Yeah, maintenance is and that's, I think, where the value is really at. That's really what, for me, when I realized how many materials and how much product and stuff, and all the different products that are in water systems, trying to see how can I actually provide value, and it was control valves.
Yeah.
Like, if I can understand this, here's something that you don't need to have, a PhD, 20 years of experience. If you can understand this is something that people that have PhDs and a lot of experienced don't understand.
Yeah.
So that's really where I dove in because
Yeah.
I found it, and then I thought it was fun. Only thing for me is what drove me nuts. It still drives me nuts. Is if I can't figure out a problem on a valve, it like I'm just hoping it's a quick drive home. Because if it's not, I can't focus. Like I'll try and like normally I'll listen to podcasts or something educational. I'll try and listen to something, and I find myself just thinking about what could be the problems. I can't listen to music, and it'll consume me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. You get something gets in your head and you're thinking about it. And I've actually turned down the radio, and then all of a sudden you're driving along and all of a sudden, that's what it is.
That's exactly what happened.
That's what it is. So you get on the phone, you call me, you're like, hey, try this, and hey, it worked. And you're like, oh man. And then you look at the clock and you haven't been listening to the radio for like 2 hours. You're like, wow, what have I been doing?
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts though. Like I'll tell you, there's one story that still, because the amount of time that was spent. Nick Martinez and I were working on a project in Westminster, and they had some. They were piston check valves that they had converted to basically pump control valves.
Mm-hmm.
So they redid the exterior piping just like an ACV, right? Piston
Yeah.
valves like a diaphragm valve, except you have diaphragm instead of a piston.
Yeah.
But the chambers are, you have separate chambers.
Mm-hmm.
So the valve they were 20-inch valves, and Nick and I went out and redid all the pilot systems. Like we worked with GA, and we got the whole schematics and everything. We're working with a contractor on rebuilding these things, and so we got them all done. There were 3 of them, and they had an emergency shutdown feature that was going to be a solenoid valve. That if the power failed, right, the solenoid valve fail open, dump water on top of the piston, and drive the valve closed. So the whole concept of this valve was that as it came down, when they went to go shut the pumps off, so they'd go, we're going to turn the pumps off, or we're going to turn the pumps off. So the first thing that happens is the valve's going to go to close, so that the pump is going to shut off against closed valves. The valve starts to go closed, and then as it hits the limit switch, once it hits that limit switch for that last little second, that solenoid valve is going to shut because it's going to turn off the power, right, and then just keep the valve closed and shut that valve off. Well, they were going down. They would go down just perfectly smooth. We adjust all the speed controls, and they'd hit almost to the limit switch, and they'd hover. And you could feel that valve was getting hot. And it was like 4 MGD flowing through this valve. It was barely open. And we could not figure this thing out. We're calling GA. Oh, there's got to be and we rebuilt the seals, did all the piping. There's got to be it's got to be something in the seals. And this is what their guys are telling us. And I'm like, they were just, all 3 of them, they were just rebuilt, right? And so, thank goodness, I remember in my time with all the control valves, so they used a diaphragm valve because the piping was so large. They didn't put an actual solenoid on top of the cover. They put a pilot operated diaphragm valve that was solenoid as the solenoid valve. And so when this thing would get close, it would shut the valve off, right? Well, what would happen was before it was coming down, right, and when it started to get to this point, it would kind of push up, and the piping was larger coming off. That solenoid valve was supposed to be closed. The problem is this: when I looked at the solenoid valve, they didn't have any checks. So on a piston valve, right, you don't have reverse flow. Flow wants to go reverse because there's separate chambers. It's not going to do that.
Yeah.
On a diaphragm valve, right, if you don't have a check feature, that valve's going to flow both directions. So it may have been days. Nick and I are both just like, we're done working on this thing. And I'm trying back with Nick, and I'm like, oh my God, figured it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, can a diaphragm valve flow in both directions? And as soon as I said that, Nick was like, yep. And they didn't put a single inline check valve. All we had to do was put 2 inline check valves in there and solve the problem.
Yeah.
But that was something that for like 3 days going back and forth. And then once it hits you, light bulb. So.
Yeah, I remember I was driving to Idaho one time, and I was talking to a guy, and I can't even remember what we was talking about, but we had some stuff going on, and I told myself, don't forget to get gas in Twin Falls. Next thing you know, I'm past that. And I'm like, okay, I can make it to Mountain Home. So told myself, don't forget to get it. Dude, I'm like 20 miles outside of Boise, and I passed Mountain Home, and it just, I was so intent on trying to help the guy out on the phone. I ran out of gas. Yeah. Had to call somebody in Boise to bring gas down to me. So
I have not done that.
yeah, that's the only time.
But I will tell you this. Is that the most embarrassing that's happened to you when you're on a road trip? Looking back,
Pretty much, knowing that you ran out of gas.
so mine's going to an engineering conference in. I think I'm trying to think. Is Buffalo? Buffalo's further north than Sheridan, right? Where's the turnoff to go to Gillette? Is that Buffalo or Sheridan?
No, Buffalo is clear on the border.
Oh no, it's Buffalo. So it's Buffalo. Excuse me, but I was going to an engineer conference there, and it's a small town, but that's where you either make this loop to either go straight down I-25 and you're going to Denver, from Billings to Denver, and then you have at Buffalo where you can either go, where you can either go towards Gillette, or so you're going east-west, or you're going down to Denver. So on the phone, there was an issue with something. There was a problem with. I don't remember what it was, but I was on the phone with a distributor with an issue, and I'm not really quite paying attention. And there was the way that you get on the highway there, these 4 loops, and I'm just on the phone, and I see Denver, so I take that way and then turn because I didn't even have my nav on.
Yeah.
And so I'm just driving down. I'm on the phone for like another 45 minutes. Get off the phone. Now I'm thinking about everything that's going on or what I have to do to solve the problem. And I'm driving, and I'm like, I'm looking, and I'm like, shouldn't the sun be to my left or right? And then I see a sign that says Gillette Mooncroft, like 45 miles. And I'm going home to Denver, right? So if anyone listening doesn't know, that's like I'm headed towards New York, right, in Wyoming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, So then I plug in my nav. And what was supposed to be about a 6.5 hour drive, I think. So I've been driving for probably a good solid 2 hours. Now I got an 8 hour drive.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt so stupid. And and my wife didn't, I'm like, you're never going to believe this.
Yeah.
I went the whole wrong direction. So I had to go down back roads. So I got off before I even got to Gillette. Yeah. Had to go around, go through like Ashcroft and all these different towns, and then end up having to get back onto was that I-80 down near Cheyenne? Catch I-80, go back west to Cheyenne to go down to Denver.
Yeah, came through Rawlins.
Yeah, that's my that was my dumbass moment.
Yeah. But like I said, it's been fun, and It's neat to see, Diamond back in the picture.
Yeah.
Sky's doing a great job inside, and to have Bree back,
Sky set this all up.
It's just neat to have the girls all part of the Brett Masters family, and I don't know. I figure I probably got another 2-3 years.
Nah, come on.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It's just something that I don't know. I don't see myself not working for Brett Masters.
You gotta keep.
On the same token, it's. At some point, you got to call her quits.
No, man, you got to keep giving Braylon shit. Did you listen to his podcast?
Yeah, it's funny.
I told him he had it easy so far. He's like, although I thought that story with you in Idaho was pretty funny when he was sleeping.
Yeah. Still the best. It was funny with the one where I got him at the airport, you know. And this time we got to the airport, and I told Shelley, I said, hey, I'm going to call Braylon and tell him that we just decided to drive instead. So when he got there, he's like, yeah, I wouldn't believe that. But, yeah, it's just fun. I'm a jokester, and that's...
You probably... I thought you've been waiting to have somebody to pick on over there with you, because normally it's when we're on trips.
Yeah.
You've given me so much shit. And Matt, my favorite with the stuff you do with the credit card with Matt, was the best, man. Making him think he left his company credit card.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've done that. And then another one that was funny with Matt is he must have put his phone on top of the car or something. We drove off, and then we come back, and we found it. It was in the road, but he ran out and got it in the middle of the intersection because that's right where the first turn we made. It must have slid off. And I'm like, is it okay? He goes, yeah, it's fine. Look.
I can relate so much with Matt because we're both ADD, but man, sometimes he's got it severe. I got mine.
Yeah.
We'll both do. Yeah. I've yet to miss a flight.
Yeah.
I got close. I had one time where I got all the way to the airport, got in line. Or no, I think got in line at security and realized I didn't have my wallet.
Huh.
And I had my wife drive down the toll road, meet me halfway, and barely made that flight.
Yeah, the only times I've really messed up on a flight that was kind of funny is.
Oh, that was at Lafayette?
No.
That one you guys were delayed for that one. I remember waving to you when we were in the plane. Hey,
Yeah, that was just a delay on a. But no, I got to the airport one time, and the flight was like at 9:00, and I got there at 7. And I go up there, and I had to check a bag or something, and it might have been that trip. I don't know, but I get there, and the lady says, "Yeah, we appreciate you getting here early." And I'm like, "Okay, 2 hours early." She goes, "Well, your flight's not till 9 p.m." And I'm like, "What?" I said, "I got to be somewhere today." She goes, "Let me see what I can do." But yeah, I'd booked the flight. Instead of 9 a.m., it was 9 p.m.
I double and triple check that all the time, just in case.
So
that's always my biggest fear is doing that, is booking the whole wrong date.
Well, the last time we was out here for the company Christmas party,
me
and Shelley came out, and that's when they had some issues with, I can't even remember the airline, the shittiest airline out there. Yeah. They said that all the flights got delayed because of weather. Yeah, because of weather. And we just checked our bags. So we said, well, just give our bag back. And we got a car and drove home. So the last time we came to the Christmas party, we ended up driving home. And they couldn't get us our bags back because they didn't. I mean, they said, well,
bags made
there it is right there. There's your bags. It's somewhere there. And there was like 5,000 bags. And so we just took off and got a car and drove home.
Yeah, it was funny is I flew one time, Brent, when we went down to Dallas. He got it was one of the better flights. He got Spirit first, but it was like their first class. I don't know, Spirit.
Yeah,
but
so you got to fly the plane too.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
bigger seat. Yeah, it was comfy. I mean, you're not
fall asleep, then all of a sudden somebody wakes you up. Hey, it's your turn to fly. Oh, okay.
You didn't go? Did you go to the dresser deal when we did the? You were there when we did when I got my first class seat going into.
Oh yeah. I
identify as a first class passenger.
Yeah.
That actually worked.
Yeah, that was funny.
Jim was kind of egging me on for that one. He's like, "You should do it. You should do it."
Yeah.
Did it, and it worked.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. I identify as a first class passenger.
Yeah. Oh, sit down. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna get kicked out.
Nope.
Never did.
Nope.
Yeah.
Got my seat and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, usually at the end of this, we do a segment called "Tales from the Trenches," where it's kind of a story of, something crazy that you've ever heard in the industry, or something that's happened, or to you.
I don't know. I mean, one of the weirdest ones I think that I've been on is we had some 36-inch DR25 that was installed on a job in Salt Lake, and they kept getting some leaks. This was prior to us being the EBA guys, but there was EBA restraints on it, EBA seals, everything else, and so it was Westlake pipe that we had on the project, so I had to go up there, and we had some other guys because of the fittings and everything else, but the pipe was going out around when they put it all together. We actually had to go out with a tape measure it from side to side at all different angles, and it was interesting because we found a piece of pipe that's perfectly round to start out with, and then by the time we installed it, it was out around. And on this job, it was a big loop, and they was using it for a retaining system.
Okay.
And I remember getting to the job site, and the gentleman from the other company that was there, that was the supplier on the job, he said, well, I'm going to get down in the pipe, and I'm going to go in and inspect all the things. And he said, I need you to stay here. And he said, if I'm not out in 30 minutes, don't come in, call somebody, whatever, So, I mean, I could get down there, look, and I could see him going down, but once you made it around the corner, and you don't know if there's any bad
Sure. Yeah.
air in there or whatever, but I just remember him saying, don't come in after me if I don't make it out. And I'm like, just
Tie a rope to the guy or something.
yeah, whatever. But he went in there, and with like 23 minutes, he came back out the other side. So it's like, okay, we're good, But just kind of interesting, I mean, you just never know what you're getting into.
What did you end up finding out? What was God's problem?
I don't know. We actually set him out some new pipe, and because we went there and checked, and we had, out of, I don't know how many pieces there was, 50 pieces. We had 14 pieces we had to replace, and so we replaced the pipe.
But it was around before it went in.
Well, it was interesting too, though, because 30-inch pipe is kind of weird too. But when we was out on the job site,
When DR25 is thinner of the.
yeah. I mean, that's basically the thickest you can get, 36-inch in. So, I mean, it was a good thick pipe, but we had pipe that was out around. There's nothing, no, the guy from Westlake come out, was with me, and we measured it, and yeah, there was pipe that was out around, but it was just kind of an interesting concept. We just did a trial thing, and we took a good, perfectly pieced round pipe and had them install it. I don't know if they just wasn't doing the centering correctly when they was bringing the follower in and everything, but so anyway, needless to say, we finally got it passed off and everything was fine. But I just remember that was kind of a scary job being on, when the guy tells you, hey, if I don't come out, don't come in after me,
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, you never know how quick that stuff can happen. It's like one cubic yard of dirt is 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So you get a cave in, or if you're in a trench that's not shored up properly, or you don't have trench box or proper shoring, quick.
yeah, yeah,
And then you have obviously with confined space and
Yep.
yeah, and bad air.
Bad air.
And there's people where you realize if you're in a vault, like I was in one of the mountains where you're climbing down a vault that's like 10 feet down. And I remember the guy asking me like, how are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going in after you.
Yeah.
It's like, cause
Yeah.
if somebody passes out, right, you
Yeah.
got to carry a 250 pound man out of up a
Yeah.
ladder.
Yep.
It's hard enough to get in and out of those things themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the times I've been in a vault with you, I mean, it's like, oh, I mean, something blows.
I've thought about that. That's
Yeah.
the one thing I think that I would say over the years has changed for me.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was happy to hop into any trench, any box, any any vault. And now, before I do, I always think about the pressure,
Yep.
and I run a force calculation in my head just
Yeah.
quickly as I can.
Yep.
I think about air.
You know where the
think about
escape route
shoring.
is.
Yeah, I mean,
you're like, okay, I had trouble climbing down in here. I ain't have trouble getting out.
Right. I was on a PRV vault, and I went in to go start up, and there was 277 pounds on the high side. It was a 12-inch valve. Mm-hmm. So I know a 12-inch valve at 105 pounds or
Yeah.
110 pounds is about 13,000 pounds of force.
Yeah.
So 12-inch at 277 is going to be almost 3 times that.
Yeah.
So in my head, I go
Yeah.
down. So when we went to go start at the PRV, I went down and closed the downstream ball valve after the pilot and told him to, slowly introduce water to it so that the valve stays closed. And I'm going to get out of the vault and watch and make sure everything's okay. Then when I went down to go start to set it and walk through and bleed out air, as soon as I saw a flange drip once, I'm like, that's it. Back it up. I'm out.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
It's deadly force, man.
Oh,
It'll kill
yeah.
you. Well,
Yep.
Melissa, man, I'm glad we had you on.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Love working with you. I appreciate your friendship.
Yep.
And
Most of all.
yeah, learning from you and having you be the consummate big brother who likes to kick my legs when I'm walking down the airport,
Yep.
Terminal. So
Like I said, I just want, with me helping Braylon out, I just want to see him succeed. And
Yeah,
I know
he's-
he will,
he's gonna be good.
And it's just, it's funny because, there's times where I've held his hand, and there's times now where it's time to just let it go and let him figure it out,
Yep.
So, I mean, but he's doing a great job. Travers doing some stuff up in Montana too.
yeah, we're
got
gonna
things
have
going,
him on next.
Okay, cool. Yep. But I appreciate my guys. They're good to work with, and I appreciate them guys doing the best job they can out there. So,
Well, thanks, Ron.
Yep. Thank you,
Appreciate
John.
it, brother. Yeah.
Proud to be part of the Legends.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.